The thing that struck me the last year, I guess, is I think you have to have an almost irrational belief in yourself. You have to think you're the best guy, and even if just there's so much evidence that you're not good at rowing, you have to just back yourself 100% always, and eventually you just keep grinding and you keep getting knocked down and keep getting back up. A lot of stuff will work out just through persistence. It seems like it's been my experience and also observation.
Welcome to The Other 3 Years, a show for anyone who has an Olympic-sized dream they want to turn into a reality. Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of The Other 3 Years podcast. My name's Kristi Wagner, and this week on the podcast, I have Oliver Bub and Billy Bender, who just recently qualified the pair for the U.S. Olympic team and will race at the upcoming Olympics in Paris. So when we recorded the podcast, they were in California and I was in Princeton, but now we are actually all in Italy together. So I've gotten to see them in action. But yeah, it was a really fun conversation. We talked about how they both got into rowing and they actually both rowed at Dartmouth. So how they went on to Dartmouth and then kind of pursuing elite rowing and yeah, what it means to them to row together and what they're looking forward to about racing and other stuff for the rest of the summer. So it was a really fun conversation. I think that everyone will really enjoy it. But before we get into that, here's an update on what's currently going on in training. So we are in Erba, Italy, and we got here a couple of days ago. We flew red eye from New York straight to Milan, which was great. I slept a little bit and then took a little nap when we got here, but I stayed up for most of the first day. And then I slept so well that night, 10 and a half hours of sleep that first night. So that was really awesome. And yeah, we've just kind of gotten in our first few rows. It's actually been pouring rain here. So that's been interesting, but I think it's just supposed to rain maybe tomorrow and then clear up a little bit. So, it's funny because usually when we're in Italy, it's really, really hot and the hotel doesn't have a ton of air conditioning. But this year it's been actually a little chilly and it's actually been kind of nice because it's not so hot when you're going to sleep. The boathouse and the lake that we row and the hotel, everything is as good as it's ever been. And it's actually really fun because the whole team is here right now. The boats that are going to the final Olympic qualification regatta are leaving on Friday. But for the first, few days of our trip, it's kind of everyone together, which we really don't ever have everyone in the same location. So that's been really cool. But they're going to go off to race on Friday. And then we will leave next Wednesday for our own racing. So yeah, it's kind of all starting to happen, which is very exciting. While we're just out here rowing, you guys can all listen to this awesome episode with Bub and Billy. So I hope that you like it. Okay, we are recording. Guys, I'm so excited to do this. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we're excited too. Thanks for having us.
Do you guys just want to introduce yourselves briefly so that everyone can know whose voice is whose?
Yeah, I'm Oliver Bub. I'm stroke seat of the pair. I'm a 2020 graduate from Dartmouth College and been training in Oakland for the 4 years since I've graduated.
And I'm Billy Bender. I'm a 2024 at Dartmouth, but I am taking a year off to train, so I will graduate next spring. And this will be my second national team.
Very exciting. Two Dartmouth I guess, Billy, you're not a grad yet. Two Dartmouth rowers.
Hopefully, one day.
Yeah, soon. I thought maybe we could start by both of you guys sharing kind of how you got into rowing. So, Bub, I don't know if you want to start.
Yeah, sure. Both my parents rowed. They actually met when they were rowing at Boston University together. My dad is from Germany, so he kind of started as a junior and eventually ended up at Boston University in the early 80s. And my mom walked on there. But then for myself, I picked it up freshman fall of high school. I remember first day we did a 20-minute erg test, and the cutoff to make the team was a 210. And I was going 209, 210, 211s here and there, but then had a good sprint and ended with a 208. So made the team, and I think I was pretty skinny. I was pretty small. They asked me if I wanted to be a coxswain for a little bit, but I said no. And the rest is history. I was in the novice 8, and I started at Saugatuck Rowing Club in Connecticut.
20-minute erg test is pretty brutal for a first
It
day.
was and no one had any idea how to pace themselves. So some kids like really went out hard. It was like trial by fire, as they say. Yeah.
Did a lot of kids not make it?
Yeah, kids didn't make it. And then they went down to like the novice team was like we trained every day, times a week, I think, back then. And then so if you didn't make it, you were like on the I think they called it the intermediate squad, and they trained like 2 or 3 times a week. And then, eventually like you could test again and try to make the team, but there was a hard cutoff.
Wow, that is brutal.
It was.
Billy, what about you?
Yeah, Hanover High School didn't have the same kind of, I don't know, seriousness that Saugatuck did, I guess. My next door neighbor was the crew coach at Hanover High School, was a novice coach, so he got my older brother rowing. But yeah, I mean, Hanover was way more chill. We would do 1500s and go like, I don't know, 6 or 7 minutes on them, and we thought that was pretty good, so.
My high school rowing experience sounds a little more similar to yours. There were no cuts, I don't think.
Yeah. We only had like 6 guys. Like, what are you going to cut? Like,
Were you guys into the Olympics when you were younger?
Yeah, I was definitely into it. I mean, my dad, he stayed pretty involved with rowing, especially back in Germany. He's very passionate about the sport for sure. And he's, still involved to this day with rowing. He, knew a lot of German Olympians. And so growing up, it wasn't uncommon for, like before the Charles, if a German guy was coming to race, they would like stay at my house. And so I was pretty aware that it existed and happened, and I watched the races and saw people I knew in the races, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, like I said, like I wasn't exactly like a natural talent at the sport. So when I just started, like I mean, it seemed pretty far off, but eventually it kind of became a reality. So eventually I started chasing it. Yeah.
yeah, we didn't have a TV in my house growing up. We had no screens. So when I started to get kind of into rowing, that's my first Olympic memories. I had to go over to the same next door neighbor's house and ask if I could watch the rowing on his TV. Yeah, I didn't even really kind of, I guess probably U23s is when I started to think about it, kind of seriously, like maybe it's a possibility. But again, I think you have no idea. Like, I think you're a U23 guy and you're like, wow, that was easy. Like, I think you don't get like the next step is a lot harder than.
What, medaling at U23s is really easy?
No, I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm just saying like comparatively, like it's just another level.
So obviously you guys have Dartmouth in common. What kind of led both of you to Dartmouth? Were you deciding between there and somewhere else?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Norwich, Vermont, which is right across the border from Hanover, where Dartmouth is, and I went to high school in Hanover. And my dad was a Dartmouth alum, so it was always kind of like a possibility. So I did the whole like college tour thing because I grew up in Hanover. That was my idea of what like a college town should look like. And so then everywhere else I went to tour, I was like comparing it in my head, Hanover, because that's what college should look like in my head. I feel like pretty lucky, honestly. Like I didn't really have any idea about what different programs were like, and who the coaches were, where they stacked up, in the IRA or whatever. I just kind of basically lucked out, I think, with the Dartmouth program that I think is a really good fit for me, and I just was in my backyard, so I wanted to go there. The crew team ended up being kind of a happy accident.
Bender, is it true that you would show up uninvited to Wyatt's office like multiple times?
Not
Uh,
uninvited, no, but I did. Yeah, I did show up like quite a few times. Like, and I was like 640, and I was like, yo, like you want to recruit me? And he was always like, dude, you go 640. Like, I literally can't recruit you. Like, they'll think it's like varsity blues. Like, yeah, it was a tough period for a while in high school.
But then you did get recruited.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I mean, so the thing is, I kind of thought I was going to get into Dartmouth, like with my academics, especially like the legacy. ED acceptance rate at Dartmouth is 50%, as opposed to like 5% for everyone else. So, and I had pretty solid academics, and also like they historically have liked taking local kids. Like it used to be Hanover would send a bunch of kids, and then this new dean of admissions kind of changed that. But I kind of just like didn't bother really getting good on the erg because I thought I was just gonna get in academically, and then I could walk on, and that's when I could figure it out. So, but then I didn't get in. Like I applied ED, and I got deferred, and then waitlisted, and then rejected. And I was like, oh shit! Like, so then it became really clear. Like it was very simple. Then it was like, all right, like you have to go. 620 is what Wyatt said, which is like kind of the obvious like D1 cutoff, or you don't get to go to Dartmouth. I was captain of the ski team, the downhill ski team, but I quit that after I didn't get into Dartmouth so that I could train in the winter. And then I went 640, and then I went 630 that winter, but then I like fell skiing and broke a bunch of ribs. So then it took me like, a bunch of months to get back. And then I went 624 like 2 months after I graduated. And then Wyatt was like, well, that's not 620, but it's close enough. So he said he'd recruit me if I spent the rest of my gap year training full time. So I went to this Thames Rowing Club in the UK, and that was great. Then I kind of got solid. So then I was 609 there, but then COVID hit. So that's the story.
That's a story.
Great story. For me, it was a little different. I was decent, at the end of my junior year. Like I made the junior national team, had a all right erg. I kind of had some options, but really the changing point for me was the official visit. And I think that's definitely a pretty important moment in your, journey getting recruited. I think that's what I always tell younger kids when like they're asking me like, oh, like how do you decide? And it's pretty hard to decide, I think before the official visit. And if you're deciding before that, I think you might not really be like seeing everything. So for me on my official visit, I went on 4, and I enjoyed every single one, but really just something about the campus, something about the team and the atmosphere that Wyatt, Monty, and at the time Stu Mader had created, like I was really stoked about. And I just remember leaving that visit feeling very confident that I wanted to go to Dartmouth. So then I just let him know, and then I was lucky to get a likely letter before I applied, and yeah, it was kind of set in stone then.
Can you guys talk a little bit about like having Wyatt as your coach? Because obviously he was very successful athlete in his own right. Like while you were rowing, did kind of post collegiate rowing like ever come up, or was it just kind of focused on college rowing and then like that opportunity presented itself after?
Yeah, I mean, Wyatt is like, I can't say enough good things about Wyatt. He's great guy, great athlete, great coach. For me, definitely Wyatt's played a huge part in making it to the senior team, making it to the Olympic team. He's been through it himself twice, and he's still pretty involved in the high performance committee. So he just like knows all these guys. He's been through a bunch of selection camps. So when I'm in selection camp, I would talk to him like every couple of days. If I just lost a sea race or whatever, he would like talk me off the ledge. And if I just won a sea race, he'd be like, okay, that's like sick, you won, but like you're not in the boat, like So mentally, having that resource has been really valuable for me, just to kind of keep like, he's always saying like, don't get too high, don't get too low. Just kind of like keep doing the same thing and try to keep an even keel, and then also understand a little bit. There is some kind of politics involved in making a bigger boat, and how to manage that. And he now has the coach perspective also, so he knows what the athletes are thinking because he went through it, and also what the coaches are thinking because he runs selection himself all the time. So having that as a resource, and he's going to coach us this summer, has been, I think, hugely valuable.
Yeah, I'd say the same. He's a massive resource, and I think like during my time, we were really focused on doing well at Dartmouth with what we had, and kind of executing there. It was less a conversation of what were next steps for me, but since I've graduated, Wyatt's definitely been a resource for me and Billy, I think, and it was good to see him because his career wasn't a straight path at all. And he, has 2 Olympic medals, a gold and a bronze. He, had his moments on the national team. or at a selection camp or selection center that were not looking very good. Like I think the story he always told us was, I think 2003 fall, so Olympic year, he was in the third boat at the Charles. Well, like 9, 10 months later, he's an Olympic champion. So I've been very grateful for his guidance through the tough moments that there are out here sometimes.
Yeah, are you guys excited to have him coaching you this summer? I was gonna say, was that like a conversation? Like, were there other people in consideration?
Yeah, I mean, there were other people in consideration for sure. I think there are natural choices, either like Mike Tatey or Skip Keel or Wyatt, but ultimately we kind of spoke as a group and decided that Wyatt was the best path forward for us. And training in Hanover too was pretty interesting to us. We will draw from them a lot. Me and Bender rode the pair in winter speed order in 2023, and I mean, the whole time we were sending video to Wyatt, the whole time we were getting coached by Mike. And then, once we got to Sarasota, Skip took over quite a bit, coaching by committee a little, but, Wyatt is going to take the reins on the training plan and everything. And for me, it's awesome. I mean, I graduated in 2020, so I didn't get my senior spring. And I remember like very distinctly why it called us all down after the season had been canceled. And my first thought was like, oh, wow, it's over. I'm not going to race with any of these guys ever again. Like, especially like the senior class was it was tough. But the next thought I had was like, I'm never going to race with Wyatt again. He's an incredible guy. And I'm super amped to get another opportunity with him.
We've been out at CRC the last couple weeks, and I think it's like really productive to have like multiple, like really talented, experienced coaches, because they come at, it's all the same stuff, but they come at it from different, with different language and different drills. And my hope is that all of these coaches will like add something to, to boat speed.
Yeah, 100%. Can you guys talk a little bit about kind of the like process of camp and then like trials? Because I feel like people maybe don't understand how like fast it kind of all happened, and it's definitely a lot of ups and downs and ups, and it was honestly only like a month and a half, right, experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was 3 weeks was the selection camp. Looking back on it, it seems like a fever dream, and like it's certainly like can be tough. I mean, coming out, being cut, and Billy was cut as well. We felt like we were in a good spot to maybe make the 8, but pretty quickly, like you kind of just realized there's something very important on the line, and you need to right the ship very quickly to get it right at Olympic trials in the pair. It was just we made a phone call to Mike, made a phone call to Skip, and then made a phone call to Wyatt. And then we were like, yeah, we should row this pair. Then Mike and Skip came down, kind of just got to work. It was a quick, we had the selection camp and then 2 weeks before the trials. And those 2 weeks I thought were really, really productive. And there was not a lot of time to not be focused. So we focused.
I agree with everything Bob said. Yeah, I mean, and Kristi, I don't know exactly what selection experience has been. I don't know. I assume at some point you weren't the top guy, but it seems like now you are. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you always were. I don't know. But sometimes selection camp is tough.
Yeah.
Then you got trials, so you don't have any time to like mope about it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think you'd be hard pressed to find someone who hasn't been cut from a camp. It just felt like this year was really like everything happened very quickly. Even with like the first round of racing just happened really fast. But getting to like race at a trial and then like win a spot at the Olympics, like that's, I don't know, I think really cool. That was like how I made the team in 2021. Was that just like an awesome day? When did it kind of sink in for you guys? Has it sunk in?
For me, yeah, I honestly don't even think it has sunk in yet. Looking back, I don't know if you saw it, Kristi, but we were down by quite a bit. And to be honest, I had no idea we were down by that much. Everyone was telling me immediately, like on land, was like, what was that? Like, what were you guys doing? And I like was like, what do you mean? And so rewatching the live stream, I was like, I was pretty shocked by the way it went down, but obviously the end result was good. So happy with that. We actually had a teammate at Dartmouth. He flew down and didn't even tell us, and he was just on the beach waiting for us after we won. So that was really cool. Like seeing him, all our parents were there, Mike, Skip, and so yeah, it was great. And it still hasn't really hit me that we're going to the Olympics yet, but I think that's probably a good thing. I still feel like training's been really good, and it doesn't feel like we've plateaued or hit a goal and now become less focused. We still know that there's another race ahead, and then
I mean, obviously, yeah, it was pretty sick, obviously. Yeah, and it is like, it feels like a little bit, it feels like kind of American, like you just like line them up and go. You win, you go to the Olympics. Like you don't. Which is obviously a lot of pressure, but it's like there's no excuse. Then there's no like, oh well, I should have, but like the coaches didn't like me, or my erg sucked, or like it's like whoever makes it go the fastest.
Yeah. Yeah, your guys' race was definitely one of the best races of the day, just in terms of competitiveness.
yeah. Were you still in Sarasota, or have you left?
Yeah, I was there. I rode my
Yeah.
bike.
Were you cheering for us?
Yeah, I cheered for you.
You don't have to say.
I was just cheering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gave a lot of kudos to Alexander Richards and Anders for like going out so hard.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think we kind of knew that was going to be their race plan, but watching the live stream, I didn't realize they were going to get that far up.
Billy, are you excited to go back to school next year? How do you feel about kind of a transition back to college and back to college rowing? Because you still can row another year, right?
Yeah, so I didn't race in the fall to preserve my eligibility for next year. So I'll have a whole season next year. Yeah, I'm stoked on it. It sucks not having my class, but we actually will be in Hanover for graduation. So that'll be good to see, the guys I matriculated with. I'll be able to go to watch them graduate, and we'll have like a senior brunch at the boathouse. And so I think that'll feel like a kind of nice end to that chapter. And then I'm really excited about next year. I think we have a lot of talent coming back from within the squad, and then we also have a lot of promising freshmen. So like Isaiah Harrison, obviously is the big name, 1826. So that's like I'm kind of stoked to see what we can do with him. But we've got a bunch of good scholars coming in. This Canadian kid, I think like a Hungarian kid. Like I think it'll be a really talented group next year. And I'm excited to see what we can do with it.
Is there anything you guys are looking forward to at the Olympics, like aside from racing or maybe post racing at the Olympics?
I'm going to Switzerland afterwards for a week with my girlfriend to kind of say sorry for being in California and God knows where for the last 6 months. So I think that'll be fun. And actually, her brother is there right now, kind of by coincidence. And so the pictures that he's sending are just like absolutely gorgeous, beautiful. Like probably you could confirm this that the Olympics will be like insane and just like so much. And I think it'll be nice to have a week to just like have some space and process.
Yeah, I haven't made too many plans. I think we're going to have about 20 alums, 20 Dartmouth alums who are going to come to this race and watch us, which is pretty crazy. I'm sure they have plans for after the games as well, and maybe I might just mooch off of their plans and join in. But I have my brother's bachelor party I got to get back to. That's a little later in August, and so I'm planning that too, and that's going to be pretty fun, I think.
Yeah, that's fun. I don't actually really know because I've only been to a COVID Olympics, so I've never experienced the like actual Olympics fun things.
Yeah, what was that like? Like you had to leave right after you were done racing.
Yeah, you had to leave like within 24 hours.
That's so brutal.
Yeah, so new experience. Well, I don't want to take up too much of your guys' time, but if there's anything like, I don't know if you guys have any advice, maybe for younger guys that really want to row at Dartmouth and then row on the national team or anything like that.
What do you got, Bender?
The thing that struck me the last like year, I guess, is I think you have to have like an almost like irrational belief in yourself. Like you have to think you're the best guy, and even if just like there's so much evidence that you're not good at rowing, you have to just like back yourself 100% all is. And like eventually you just like keep grinding and you keep getting knocked down, keep getting back up. A lot of stuff will work out like just through persistence. It seems like it's been my experience and also observation.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, I think rowing more than probably most sports rewards just persistent effort over time, make the work fun. Because once it's fun, it becomes really, really easy. I remember like early COVID and I was training alone, training in a single, and it just like wasn't that fun. I was talking to my high school coach back then, and we just put together a few workouts that we knew like I would enjoy, and I would actually enjoy coming to the boathouse to do them. That's when my progress like really took off, I feel like. Yeah.
What's your advice, Kristi?
I feel like those things are both true. I feel like it doesn't have to suck. I feel like people think it has to like suck and be a slog.
Mhm.
But I also agree that like if you're not believing in yourself, no one's going to believe in you, right? And I'd say I just always try to be a person that other people want to be in their boat. Other people want to row with and they don't want to row against. Like I just always try to be that person.
Mhm.
Well, cool. I don't know if you guys have any other questions for me.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna ask, like actually, you've raced at the Olympics. Like, what's your advice for that experience?
I mean, I think it is like a step up. Like everyone's gonna bring their A game, but then at the end of the day, it's also just still a rowing race. So I think like you've gotta bring your A game, but not make it out to be this like crazy thing that you've never done before, you know? Like I think it's finding the medium of those things of, yeah, I have to expect that everyone else is going to go their absolute fastest, but not trying to do something that I've never done before. Yeah. And having fun. I think it's still supposed to be fun.
Kristi, so you graduated in 2015 from Yale, right?
Yeah.
Were you like immediately rowing after that?
Sort of. Yeah, I like moved to Boston and was working like full-time job for a couple of years, and I just rowed at Riverside on the side. And then I moved to Saratoga like 2017, and I've been rowing since then, like at Orion. I got cut from a lot of teams, Billy.
Everyone on this call has.
Yes. I've gotten cut from every team, so I haven't made a team that I haven't been cut from.
My first senior team was 2021, was the last Olympics.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's when it counts.
In 2017, I had like a pretty bad hip injury, so then I had to have surgery. So it took me a little bit to like get back from that. I'd say nobody really has a like linear path. I feel like most people struggle quite a bit, unfortunately.
Yeah. Few exceptions. But
Yeah.
I have one more question for you. There are two Yale women rowers on the team. Like, does that come up at all? I know there's Sweep in your skull, so not exactly the same team, and you guys aren't in the same boat, but I'm sure you guys have some banter here and there.
Oh, yeah. It makes me so happy. I feel like I am like always rooting for them. Well, I guess I root for everyone now, but no, it's really awesome. And they're both like Margaret and Daisy are awesome. We actually just got to go a few weeks ago. They had the 50th anniversary of Yale Women's Rowing in New Haven. So we all got to go together and celebrate that whole thing. So yeah, it definitely is really fun to have other alums, and there's some men also, now more Americans. There's like a million international people, but
yeah, it's nice to have people that shared some of your experiences.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. I feel like people are going to be very excited to hear from you.
You're just saying that, but
No.
thank you.
I'm not.
Did you see the videos of us flipping?
I heard about it. I didn't
see it.
I didn't see it. You can send it to me.
People were pretty amped on that video. Mike thought it was the funniest thing ever.
He made us wear like water wing floaties. He made us put them on while we were launching the other day, and like took a video of us.
Yeah, send those to me, and then they can be part of the video of this podcast.
We'll get the producer on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I I hope that everyone really enjoyed that conversation. I really appreciate Bub and Billy coming on and sharing so much, and I feel like it was a really fun episode, and it's just really cool when I can have different people that are my national team teammates on. I feel like I get to learn so much more about them, get to share their stories as well on the pod, because I think everyone really likes to hear them. So as my quote of the week for this week, I am going to share a quote from this book I'm reading called The Champion's Mind: How Great Athletes Think, Train, and Thrive by Jim Affermo. Don't know if I'm saying his last name correctly. But this quote from the book is basically power through plateaus and setbacks and embrace the attitude that any setback is an opportunity for a comeback. And I just really liked that because, the roller coaster can't go up unless it goes down first. Thanks for listening. Have a great week. See you next time. Bye. I'd love to hear from you, so send us a topic suggestion, or if you'd like to submit a question for our Ask Kristi Anything segment, head to our website, theother3years.com.